Hello everybody, I'm the Mana Dork, and today we're going to be asking the question, what are the most popular commanders that are white in Magic the Gathering? For this list, we're going to be going over one simple metric, and that is the most popular commanders that can be found through the website edhrec.com. Kicking off our list, we have Teshar, Ancestors Apostle, which currently has 1,216 decks. Teshar is most commonly associated with essentially being the master of the egg strategy. For those who aren't familiar with that term, egg strategies are decks where you utilize artifacts to sacrifice, put them in the graveyard to draw cards or gain other advantage, and then you bring those artifact cards from your graveyard back to the battlefield. Or you could return them to your hand or to your deck, but the point of the deck is that you're supposed to recycle through sacrificed artifacts over and over and over again. While Teshar does have a moderate converted mana cost to play in the first place, and a small body that does make it subject to lots of different removal, the benefit that you get from playing it outweighs its very small toughness very easily. Teshar synergizes best with cards like Trusty Pack Beast, Oswald Fiddlebender, Salvage Scout, Ingenious Smith, Ashnid's Altar, and Blasting Station. The next most popular commander on our list comes all the way from Cold Snap, and that's Darien, King of Keldor. Darien may seem like he's best suited for token strategies, but he's also commonly associated with soldier tribal decks as well. When playing Darien, especially with token strategies, you want to be attacked, yet you also want to focus on life gain, which means that you have to get a bit creative with your deck choices. He is a very expensive commander, at being 6 mana for only 3/3 with virtually no evasion abilities or protection abilities. So you have to keep that in mind, and usually when you're playing competitively, this might be a commander that you'll probably want to set aside. Darien synergizes best with cards like Benny Brack's Zoologist, the whole bevy of Soul Sisters cards, Catapult Master, and Mentor of the Meek. Moving on with the next popular commander, we have SRAM Senior Edificer, which currently has 1,258 decks that are showcased. SRAM is not commonly associated with being a vehicle tribal deck. It mostly focuses on being able to draw cards based off of both aura and equipment spells a majority of the time. And because of this, SRAM is very efficient at being a fantastic card drawing engine in a color that virtually lacks draw capabilities as of right now. SRAM can be removed very easily, however at being just 2 mana and then 4 mana and then possibly 6 mana, that justifies him and his abilities quite well. SRAM synergizes best with cards like Puresteel Paladin, Sigarda's Aid, Arden the Intrepid Archaeologist, Mantle of the Ancients, and Sword of the Animist. Next up, we have our second most popular commander, that being Lightpaw's Emperor's Voice, which currently has 1,761 decks. Lightpaws is also the most recent commander in this list, which comes from the most recent Kamigawa Neon Dynasty set. For the most part, Lightpaws, when you build around it, is a considerably better card drawing engine than SRAM Senior Edificer, albeit much more restrictive. Because of her ability, Lightpaws is an ideal choice for an Enchantress commander, even though you could play Naya or Gruul or Selesnya style strategies as well. While Lightpaws hasn't been around for too long, I do expect that this commander is probably going to be sticking around for the long term, if not stay in this number 2 position for a considerably long while of time. Lightpaws synergizes best with cards like Brilliant Restoration, its reserveless counterpart Replenish, Core Spirit Dancer, Flicker Form, and Umbra Mystic. Before we get to our number 1 spot, let's go over a few other popular options that you may want to consider. Lyra Dawnbringer, with 887 decks, is commonly associated with being a decent Angel Tribal commander considering that it has a built-in Anthem with it. However, she is a bit slow, so that would explain why not too many people consider her in the first place. Oswald Fiddlebender, with 907 decks, has a very interesting birthing pod-like effect for artifacts, which, with given enough time and maybe enough innovation, he could eventually become a much more popular commander. Avacyn, Angel of Hope, with 1,007 decks, is a big, beefy creature that costs a lot of mana, but it does make all of your stuff impervious to wraths, so that makes it a bit worth it in the long run, and allows you to play cards like Armageddon. Adeline Resplendent Cathar with 1031 dex is a cheap, efficient, combat-based commander that also wants you to play a lot of tokens. And God Eternal Ketra with 1178 dex might be one of the most unique ways you could pilot a white commander in general. You could play a lot of creatures with self-bouncing effects to create an army of 4/4 black zombie warrior creature tokens that may be able to overwhelm unprepared opponents. And finally, at our number 1 spot, we have Heliod the Sun Crowned, which currently has 1896 dex. Because of those last two abilities that Heliod has, he is commonly associated with being able to have an infinite combo with cards like Walking Ballista and Triskelion. Because of the last ability, Heliod can be considered one of the best life gain commanders in the format, considering that you don't necessarily have to play life gain based cards in the deck because Heliod can just give whatever he wants lifelink. Not only because Heliod is indestructible, but also because you can make it 2 different cards based off of what you play, it can be considered a very evasive creature and as such very impervious to removal, which makes him quite coveted among commander players in general. Heliod the Sun Crown synergizes best with cards like Voice of the Blessed, Linden Steadfast Queen, the entire bevy of Soul Sister cards that have been mentioned before, Dawn of Hope, and Blind Obedience. Do any of these commanders look interesting to you? And if so, which ones are you considering building? Be sure to let me know in the comments down below, and be sure to throw me a like as it helps me a lot in the long run. As always, I'm the Mana Dork. You all have been wonderful, and I'll catch you on the flip side.